Most nights, it is not stubborn insomnia that robs your rest. It is the harmless glass of plain water you trusted to be on your side. I have watched too many patients slip into bed thinking they did the right thing, only to bolt awake in the dark with a racing mind and a full bladder that will not wait. Here is the quiet twist that changes the night. If you swap that cold plain water for a small, warm drink that carries calming nutrients rather than empty volume, your body can settle sooner and stay asleep longer. The advantage is simple. You still hydrate. You still enjoy a soothing ritual, and you give your nerves the raw materials they use at night, not just liquid that rushes through. The disadvantage is that the choice has to be thoughtful, because certain conditions like kidney disease or strict sodium limits demand care, and because too much of any drink near bedtime can defeat the purpose. I say this as someone who has sat beside many tired Americans in their 60s and 70s. As we grow older, the hormones that help us hold fluid through the night naturally drift downward, and the gentle rise of melatonin that once came on like a tide becomes a little weaker each passing year. That is why even a modest sip can nudge the bladder and pull you out of deep sleep. Plain water does nothing to calm the system that keeps you alert. It does not steady the brake pedal in your brain that we call the GABA pathway, and it does not bring the building blocks like magnesium or glycine that whisper to tight muscles to let go. A warm, nutrient-rich drink, taken in a small amount well before you climb into bed, does something different. It supports the signal to cool the core by just a little and slows the thrum of the heart so the brain can slide into the slower waves of deep sleep. The upside is that you are working with your biology, not against it. You are not forcing drowsiness. You are setting the stage for it. You can feel the shoulders lower, the breath even out, and the mind soften its grip. The downside is that not every option suits everybody. If blood sugar is a concern, sweetened drinks can stir up trouble. If reflux bothers you, the wrong spice or too much fat can tug you awake. That is why I start small. I keep it warm, and I choose drinks that are gentle on the gut and light on the bladder. Let me be clear. I am not asking you to fear water. Hydration is a friend in the daylight. What I am asking is that you stop expecting cold plain water at night to do a job it was never meant to do. The research we have, from long-standing sleep laboratories and careful clinical observations, tells us that older adults benefit when the evening routine lowers stress signals, provides a touch of amino acids that the brain converts into sleep chemistry, and avoids sudden bladder stretch. That is the heart of this change. Replace the reflex of a tall glass by the sink with a smaller, warm cup that carries purpose. In a few moments, I will show you the specific choices I trust. But tonight, I want you to test one simple move. Choose a calm, low-volume, unsweetened option and sip it slowly well before lights out. The benefit is that you reclaim the first deep sleep cycle when memory settles and the body repairs. The trade-off is that you will need a little intention and a little patience, because gentle solutions work by cooperation rather than by force. I have seen this single shift give people their mornings back. If you have ever rolled over and stared at the ceiling and wondered what changed after 60, this is one answer worth trying, and it starts with what you put in your cup. I used to believe that drinking a little water before bed was harmless, even helpful, until I saw how often it shattered the nights of my older patients. Let me tell you why this innocent habit turns into a trap after 60. Imagine slipping into bed feeling ready for rest, only to wake 2 hours later with a sharp signal from your bladder and a mind that refuses to settle back down. This is not just inconvenient, it is destructive. The deep stages of sleep are when your brain clears waste, when your memories consolidate, and when your body repairs. If you are pulled out of that state again and again, you are left with mornings of fog, aching joints that never quite recover, and a mood that frays at the edges. The truth is that plain water does nothing to prepare your body for sleep. It does not relax tense nerves. It does not warm your core. And it certainly does not provide the nutrients like magnesium or tryptophan that help your brain produce melatonin. Instead, that water heads straight to the bladder, and with age, the muscles that once held firm through the night lose their grip. The hormone vasopressin, which used to conserve fluid while you slept, declines decade by decade. Melatonin, the quiet timekeeper of your sleep cycle, fades as well. The result is that even a small sip can rouse the bladder at 2 or 3 in the morning, snapping you out of restorative sleep and leaving you stranded in a half-awake state. There are advantages of water, of course. It is the purest form of hydration. It supports your kidneys, and during the day it keeps your circulation steady. But at night, the disadvantages outweigh the benefits. Cold water lowers core temperature at the wrong moment, making it harder to drift into that first cycle of deep sleep. Excess water stretches the bladder when it is most vulnerable, triggering nerve signals that are far more sensitive after 60. And perhaps most important, plain water is empty. It does not carry the calming compounds that your older nervous system desperately needs to make the transition from alert to restful. This is the hidden danger that no one warns you about. You might think you are doing something healthy, yet you wake at dawn more exhausted than when you went to bed. The solution is not to deprive yourself of fluids, because dehydration is no friend either. The solution is to choose smarter drinks that hydrate gently while feeding your sleep chemistry. The science is clear. Studies in aging adults show that when evening drinks provide amino acids like glycine or minerals like magnesium, people fall asleep faster and wake less often. These nutrients act like keys in the lock of your sleep cycle, while plain water only rattles the door without opening it. If you have ever wondered why your nights became so broken after 60, this is one of the most overlooked reasons. The glass by your bedside may be doing more harm than good once the lights go out. Tonight, I want you to hold that thought as we move forward, because the next step is to show you exactly which drinks can serve your rest instead of stealing it. I often tell my patients that the body after 60 is like a delicate orchestra. Every instrument has to be tuned just right for the symphony of sleep to begin, and plain water simply does not play the right notes. Think of it this way. Water is a messenger without a message. It rushes through, filling the bladder but never whispering to the nerves or coaxing the muscles to let go. By contrast, certain evening drinks carry nutrients that speak directly to the systems that control sleep. Magnesium, for example, calms the electrical storms in the nervous system. It slows the busy chatter between brain cells, the way a dimmer switch lowers a harsh light. Glycine works in a different but equally gentle way. It lowers the body's core temperature just enough to signal the brain that night has truly come. In sleep laboratories, researchers have seen glycine increase the slow wave patterns that define the deepest, most restorative rest. Then there is tryptophan, an amino acid found in foods and certain drinks that your body transforms into serotonin and later into melatonin. This is not just theory. Clinical studies in older adults show that when tryptophan intake rises, sleep onset shortens and night awakenings decrease. Imagine a relay race in which tryptophan passes the baton to serotonin, and serotonin hands it to melatonin, the final runner who crosses the finish line into deep sleep. Water alone cannot run that race. Another hidden factor is how the body manages hydration with age. When we are young, hormones keep water inside the tissues where it belongs through the night. After 60, those signals weaken, and water slips quickly into the bladder, forcing awakenings. But when you drink something richer, something that carries electrolytes or proteins, the liquid is held more steadily inside muscle and nerve cells, instead of flooding the bladder all at once. The benefit is obvious. You remain hydrated without constant bathroom trips, and the very act of drinking becomes a cue that ushers the body toward rest. Of course, there are disadvantages to consider. Some nutrient-rich drinks may carry sugars that spike blood glucose, and others may be too heavy if taken right before bed, leading to reflux or discomfort. That is why the choice has to be wise, and the portion has to be small. The science gives us the map, but your body writes the story. In plain terms, the problem with water is not that it is bad, it is that it is empty. The drinks I am about to share are not magical potions. They are simply smarter allies that bring what your older body needs at the moment it needs it most. As we move into the next part, I want you to picture the difference between a bare room and a room softly lit with warm lamps and gentle music. Both are spaces you can enter, but only one invites you to stay. That is the difference between plain water and a thoughtful bedtime drink. When I finally understood that water at night was working against my patients instead of for them, the next question was obvious. If plain water cannot guide the body into rest, then what can? The good news is that you do not need complicated formulas or expensive powders. Nature has already placed gentle helpers in our hands, drinks that are simple, affordable, and safe when chosen with care. I have seen men and women in their 60s and 70s who were ready to give up on sleep discover that just one small cup of the right drink, taken at the right time, brought back the peace they thought was gone forever. The advantage here is that you do not have to give up the comfort of sipping something before bed. Instead of fearing fluids, you can transform that nightly ritual into medicine of the quietest kind. The disadvantage is that it takes a little patience and some trial and error, because what soothes one body may not suit another. The trick is to test gently, one drink at a time, and listen to the signals of your own night. What makes these drinks different from plain water is not volume, but value. They carry minerals that relax, amino acids that turn into sleep hormones, and plant compounds that ease the brain into letting go. Unlike heavy sleeping pills, they do not force unconsciousness. They work with your biology, restoring rhythms that age has weakened. This is not a promise of miracles. It is a practical invitation. Imagine walking into a dark house. Water alone is like flipping on a single weak bulb that blinds you for a moment, but leaves the rest of the rooms in shadow. The drinks I am about to share are like warm lamps placed in each room, guiding you steadily toward the bedroom without stumbling. In the next steps, I will take you through 5 specific choices. Each one has its own strengths and its own cautions. Each one has been studied, tested, and trusted by older adults who wanted to wake refreshed instead of restless. Stay with me, because even if you find just one that fits, it can change the shape of your nights and the quality of your mornings. I still remember the first time I suggested warm, unsweetened almond milk to an older patient who could not make it through the night without waking 3 or 4 times. She looked at me with surprise, convinced that only cow's milk carried the secret of sleep. But when she came back 2 weeks later, she told me she had not slept that peacefully in years. The reason is simple, yet powerful. Almond milk is naturally rich in magnesium, a mineral that acts like a gentle brake on the nervous system, slowing down the restless signals that keep the brain alert. It also provides tryptophan, an amino acid your body transforms first into serotonin and then into melatonin, the hormone that tells your cells it is time to rest. Unlike pills that shove you into drowsiness, this drink whispers to your biology and lets it choose rest on its own terms. Clinical studies confirm what I have seen. In one trial, adults who drank almond milk twice a day added more than 20 minutes of deep sleep to their nights and woke less often. The advantage of almond milk is that it is light, lactose-free, and kind to an aging digestive system. It does not spike blood sugar, it does not bloat the stomach, and when warmed to a cozy temperature, it creates the same comfort as a soft blanket pulled over your shoulders. The disadvantage is that not every carton on the grocery shelf is pure. Some are flavored, some are loaded with sweeteners, and those extras can undo the very benefit you seek. The answer is to choose a plain, unsweetened version and to keep the portion modest, about half a cup, taken an hour or so before bed. Too much, even of a good thing, can still trouble the bladder. If you like a touch of warmth beyond the milk itself, A pinch of cinnamon adds flavor and gently supports circulation through the night. I often tell my patients that this simple drink works on two levels. It nourishes the nervous system while aligning with the natural rhythm of nightfall. It may seem almost too easy, but I have watched it change lives. The choice is yours, of course. But if you have never tried it, one quiet cup tonight might be the beginning of steadier mornings. Think of it not as a rule, but as an invitation. One that costs almost nothing and carries little risk, yet can give back what so many after 60 have been missing: the peace of uninterrupted rest. There is a certain magic in the simplest of plants, and chamomile is proof of that. I have watched men and women who spent years relying on sleeping pills find relief in nothing more than a small cup of this golden tea. Chamomile carries apigenin, a plant compound that calms the brain by binding to the very receptors that regulate anxiety and rest. When those receptors are soothed, the racing thoughts slow, the heart steadies, and the eyelids grow heavy almost without effort. The beauty of chamomile lies in its gentleness. It is not addictive, it does not leave a morning hangover, and it can coax the body into natural sleep within minutes. In a clinical study of older women, nightly chamomile tea cut awakenings by nearly a third and helped them fall asleep more than a quarter of an hour faster. The advantage is clear: a safe, familiar herb that works with your rhythm instead of against it. The disadvantage is that it can be too mild for some, and if sweetened with sugar or honey, it may nudge blood sugar in the wrong direction. The answer is to keep it plain. Let the bag steep long enough, and sip slowly about an hour before bed. Now let me turn to a drink that surprises many of my patients: warm coconut water. Most people picture it cold, pulled from a green shell on a summer day, but warmed gently and taken in a small cup, it becomes a quiet ally of sleep. Coconut water is rich in potassium and magnesium, minerals that steady nerve activity and relax the smooth muscles of the bladder. For those who wake with leg cramps or restless legs, this can be the difference between tossing until dawn and sleeping through. In research with older adults, low potassium levels were tied to more bathroom trips and more broken nights, while restoring those minerals improved sleep within a week. The advantage of coconut water is that it hydrates while easing tension, all in a natural form. The disadvantage is that it is not for everyone. People with kidney disease or those who must limit potassium should avoid it, and drinking it cold or in excess can cause stomach upset. The way to use it wisely is to dilute fresh coconut water with a little warm water. Sip it after dinner, and give the body an hour or two to settle before bed. Chamomile tea and warm coconut water could not be more different in taste, yet both carry the same gift. They invite the body to loosen its grip on the day and slide into rest without force. Think of chamomile as a gentle hand on the shoulder and coconut water as a steady arm supporting your balance. Together they show that nature has given us more than one doorway into the peace of night. There is a reason ancient kitchens often held jars of turmeric and pots of simmering broth. These were not only foods, they were quiet medicines that worked in ways modern science is only now confirming. Let me begin with golden milk, the warm drink made by blending turmeric into milk with a pinch of black pepper. On the surface, it looks like comfort in a cup, but inside it carries curcumin, one of the few natural compounds proven to tame the stress hormone cortisol. I have seen patients whose minds would not slow at night, who carried the weight of the day into their pillows, find calm within an hour of sipping this golden drink. The pepper is not decoration. It multiplies the absorption of curcumin several times, turning a soothing spice into a real ally for the nervous system. The advantage is that golden milk not only eases the path into sleep, but also reduces inflammation, calms sore joints, and restores a sense of safety that stress had stolen. The disadvantage is that turmeric can upset a sensitive stomach if made too strong, and the drink should never be taken on an empty stomach. A modest portion, half a cup warmed gently, is enough to do its work. Then there is gelatin, or its natural cousin, bone broth. Many think of them only as support for joints or skin, But hidden inside is glycine, an amino acid that acts like a night watchman for the nervous system. Glycine lowers the body's temperature by a degree, slows the heart just enough, and invites the brain into the slow waves of deep sleep. In one study, just a spoonful of gelatin powder dissolved in warm water helped older adults wake less often and feel sharper in the morning. Bone broth, when simmered slowly, carries not only glycine but also collagen and minerals that nourish tissues while you rest. The advantage is that these are familiar, safe, and deeply nourishing. They give back not just sleep but recovery. The disadvantage is that store-bought versions often contain too much salt, and drinking them too thick or too late can cause heaviness instead of peace. The way to use them wisely is to keep the portion small. Warm them gently, and let them be the last quiet step before bed. I often picture it this way. Golden milk is like a soft voice telling the brain it is safe, while gelatin or broth is like a steady blanket that supports the body as it repairs. Together they create not sedation but restoration. If stress or pain has stolen your nights, these two simple drinks may be the companions you did not know you needed.